Hello class, have you ever seen this situation where somebody is saying nothing's wrong when something really is? Why would people do that? Here's another example. Dagwood and Blondie are having a discussion and Dagwood is sure something is wrong and Blondie keeps denying it, and finally he says, "Well, that's a relief." And she says, "Well, after all these years, it seems like you would know when I'm mad about something." So why do people play these games? Here's another one where Vic Lee has a cartoon and his character said, "It makes me so mad that after 8 years together, you still don't know why or what I want. And of course, I can't tell you what I want because I won't want it anymore." So we will talk about psychological games and why on this earth do people do this. Dr. Eric Berne, he wrote a book called Games People Play, and he was a creator of Transactional Analysis. And Dr. Harris wrote a book called I'm Okay, You're Okay, and I will be doing a lesson from Dr. Harris's book, and it gives a foundation of why people play these psychological games. First, what is transactional analysis? It's a study of communication. It's not communication by itself, it's the study of it and why people say and do what they don't really want to. This unit will help you understand why people do what they do and how to prevent mixed up behavior. The Transactional Analysis I'm Okay, You're Okay is a book written by Thomas Harris, and he was a genius of figuring out how to make very technical words simple for the layman. And he took words that we all know, parent, adult, and child, but he gave them different definitions. And he said the parent, adult, and child ego states are in all of us from when we're very young. So a 3-year-old has a parent ego state. So you will have to redo your thinking about what a parent is, because if you looked it up in the dictionary, you might see where a parent means somebody who has children. But a 2-year-old obviously can't have a parent, or is not a parent, but they have a parent ego state. So these are conditions of our psychic, and Dr. Harris calls these 3 things part of our personality. To begin, the child ego state starts from birth, and it develops all the feelings. The moment the baby's born, they have feelings. They have feelings of being warm and comforted, or feelings of pain, and that's the first emotional state that they can understand. So the questions here concerning the child inside of us, the child ego state inside of us, is why do we develop not okay feelings? Now the toddler can't do things. Well, actually the toddler, I should have typed in there the infant. When we're first born, we can't walk. And when we do begin to walk, we start to fall. The normal toddler will take a few steps and fall. And a young child or young person can't drink out of a cup. They usually have these nice little lids on there that helps them so they won't spill whatever's in the cup. And they do things without the skills of the big people around them. So Dr. Harris was talking about how we feel inferior to the larger people around us because the large people don't fall, they don't trip, they don't spill their milk, and they can speak and be understood. And the young child is trying to explain things and the big people don't understand them. So he feels that we all develop our inferiority complexes because we are not understood when we're little and we can't do all the things that the big people can do. He said no matter how loving your parents are or the big people in your life, they could love you and do all the things for you, but because you can't do everything by yourself, you feel inferior. And he said there's no way that we can avoid this unless we were born big, and you could be born and walk and talk and say, "Hi Mom, hi Dad, it's great to see you," but that doesn't happen. Now the child inside of us controls our emotions. So every feeling that you have is in your child ego state. And what does the adapted child mean? It means that it's the controlled part. So when you feel that you're not allowed to use your emotions, you control them. And here are some examples. Holding in your laughter. Maybe you're in a situation where you should not laugh, so you try to hold in your laughter. Or let's say that you shouldn't cry. You feel the urge to cry, but you shouldn't. Maybe you're in a movie theater, you're on a date, you don't want to start crying because you don't want to be embarrassed, so you try to hold in your feelings. Holding in your anger, maybe you have a boss that made you mad, you don't want to yell at your boss, you'll get fired, so you try to hold in your feelings. So this is the controlled part of your child ego state. What does the free child mean? It means that you let out your feelings. It's not controlled. So you're with friends, you can cry, you can laugh, you can do whatever you want. You know that nothing's going to harm you if you let out your feelings. Maybe you have a close friend, you can cry with them. Maybe your anger is, you're erupting with anger, you're alone, you're doing something, maybe you're hitting your pillow or something, and you can let your feelings out. So that's the not controlled feelings. Describe verbal and physical clues of someone in their child ego state. Obviously, if somebody is smiling, you can see the smile in their face. That's a very obvious symptom or showing of happiness. If you see tears, obviously they're sad. Verbal, if somebody's talking in baby talk, they're in their child ego state. And the family circus who Bill Keene developed, he illustrates this by the little boy, and I wanted to show this because it has nothing to do with age. His grandmother, who's obviously older, she has her child ego state, and she was using her child ego state when she was telling him to go to Betty Bye, and he's clarifying to her that, Grandma, I'm going to bed, not Betty Bye. And then he said, and these are my pajamas, not my jammies. So she was using her child ego state by saying jammies. And when he said, I went to the toilet, not the toity. So age has nothing to do with the three ego states. We have all these three ego states in us all through our life. Dr. Harris said undisciplined toddlers and preschoolers who are allowed to do whatever they want with no limits are not as happy as those who have limits. Why do you think this is so? Wouldn't complete freedom bring complete happiness? And the answer really falls in this situation. Toddlers feel more secure having boundaries. They test limits, but they really feel safer with limits. It makes them feel cared for. Also, if a toddler was allowed to do anything, then behaved inappropriately in another person's home, he or she would be looked at unfavorably and would receive negative feedback. This would add to the toddler's negative feelings about him or herself. Now the parent ego state will be the next section. I will end here. This is part 1, and you have a worksheet that you're filling out. So I will stop here and then go to part 2, and you will hear the parent ego state. And thank you for listening.